Hey y'all, what better place to start with cutting down the grapes behind schedule? You can see some of the leaves are turning brown. It's hot. Guys, we are already at triple digits here in zone 8 in Dallas, Texas, and it is a scorcher today for the last couple of days. So I thought, let me run through and do a full tour right now. Some things you'll see a work in progress. I'm doing some cleaning. So I just thought, let me stop real quick and do this because if I don't, Lord knows what it's going to look like soon. Things are starting to die back already. I struggle with this every year during mid-July, August, just depends on how the climate change is impacting us in the season. So right now, let's just kind of run through a few things. So the canna lilies, man, if you ever buy canna lilies, this is an old school plant for me. I grew up with these. I have them literally because my mother had them in her garden. And we have the red ones. The yellow is really, really pretty. I like it. The leaves are very healthy this season because I do use 7. I attach it to my hose. It is an insect killer. I haven't done that every year. The years that I don't do it, these leaves will have holes in them and they'll get eaten alive by mostly caterpillars, I'm assuming. And so this year I haven't had that issue because I made sure to really treat things well. But I do deadhead these sometimes, and I'll come through and cut this off. If I don't, it will look a little ugly, but at the same time, it will flush back out. You don't have to, but I do like to come through and kind of clean that up some. And so I have the Mystic Spires here, one of my favorite plants I always mention. This one's in a pot. Most of them that I have, you can see that the bees love it. There's a bee on that right now. The majority of them that I have are in the ground. I have some rosemary. My pots are not looking great. I will admit it. My dianthus was beautiful, a while back. These are not on a drip system. That's part of the issue. I do water consistently, but it is a struggle, like I said, this time of year. So this is a balloon plant. It puts off gorgeous blue flowers. I love that plant. This I'm always harvesting. This is the blue spruce sedum. Look how easy that comes off. You see that root? That's a whole nother plant that will turn into this. This plant here started that. Sometimes it can be a bit of a slow grower, but it does work. I'm just sticking this back into the dirt. It roots that easy. That's all you have to do. So I have a lot of little pots sitting around. Those are all transplants that I may end up using in different projects or in other areas. So this space here, which I call Madison Garden, named after my granddaughter, it's always a work in progress. I have some things I'm getting ready to pot up that's just kind of sitting here right now. And I accidentally put some garden soil, not potting soil, in this pot. Didn't read the package, wasn't paying attention. So I had to stop and order some soil, and it was just delivered. And so be sure to not use garden soil in your pots. It doesn't drain well, and your plants probably would not survive that. This is just my little area where I'm into the lemons this year. Lemon Nation, if you know, you know. And also, I picked these pots up at, where was I? Home Goods. So I love the blue, I'm loving blue. And if I don't want to do yellow later on in the season, I just turn them around and I can still use them. And no, I have not taken off price tags yet. Um, don't you hate when people put those price tags like in the middle of a mirror? Okay, I digress. Sometimes they're so hard to get off. I am walking carefully in this area because I just sprayed pool cleaner on all of these stones to brighten them up, and I haven't rinsed it off yet. So that makes things just tidy up a lot easier. I have, a lot of shade plants that are doing pretty well. Those are perennial ferns that I have in the larger pots, and they are on the proven winners inserts for the water reservoir. So I don't have to water them, but maybe about once a week, even in the triple digits. I have a big hosta back here that I love, but it's already getting scorched. So I have these little cute umbrellas for plants that I buy on Amazon. More pots that I'm getting ready to pot up later today. And this is just a little messy, y'all. And you know what's crazy? Just yesterday, I was out here with my blower and I cleaned up this whole area. I vacuumed my lawn and it was gorgeous. This is all the mess that I cleaned up. That's a pretty big size container, but crepe myrtles are so messy. So all the white blooms, it looks like snow sometimes. If I come back over here, you see the blooms there, but it's dropping all of this white junk on to the lawn, and it's quite a bit. It's a mess. So I kind of give up at certain times and let it just fall and do its thing. But I'm also out here. If you see my chairs, for example, there's just lots of stuff. And I just cleaned these yesterday. So I have pink crepe myrtles. So you see the pink. My goal is always to show the good and the bad. All right. So I show some ugly stuff in my tours. If this is your new first time being here, it's not always the glam. But, you know, of course, we love pretty things. And I want to show all the pretty things too. But, oh, by the way, it's a little pot. I mean, not pot. This little stand is actually a stool. I took my grandbabies to Five and Below. Hadn't been there in years. And by the way, they're no longer Five and Below, I found out. But this was $5, 5.99. I'm using it for a plant stand because I don't know about you guys, but when you go looking for plant stands, these things are like, I saw one yesterday at home that was $25. I'm not doing that. Nope, not doing that. So 5.99. I go to Goodwill, I go where I can to find things that are not necessarily intended for its original purpose, and I repurpose them for what I need. This is another little area where I get lots of sun in this one little space. Now, I could just move the plant, but I like the plant there. So for right now, I'm protecting it. And, oh, let me go over here. Oh, let me go back over here because my water fountain, I think it just went out yesterday. So I need to get in there, put my hand up in there, which I ain't really looking forward to, and figure out what's going on. Probably just need to change the pump so it's not running. Just stopped last night, but I've had it, oh my gosh, over here for at least 4 years. At least. So picked it up on Amazon. By the way, if you don't know how to take a picture of something, I'll be still for a second. Take a picture of it, go to your Google Lens, and it will show you where the item came from, in most cases, or who sells it. And then you can price it out that way. I picked it up, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. I want to say it was around 600 or 700 bucks. I can't remember. So you'd have to check. Oh, let me back up, guys, because oh, look at these. This isn't necessarily a good thing, just depends on what you want. So when you're driving around and you see sunshine ligustrum shrubs, and they became very popular about 5, 6 years ago. Most of the time, you will see people with some very small ones. I have never seen anyone with sunshine ligustrum the size of mine. Now, I have cut them back several times, and I'm probably going to come in and take off a huge top layer of this. I just haven't done it yet. And let me turn around slowly because on that side, look at this monster here. That's huge. All this is new growth in the last probably 15, 20 days, maybe. Sometimes I cut these off and put them in a vase, by the way. And it works. They will last for a while in a vase. But that is almost to the top of the eave of my house. Now, I did, I don't want to say make the mistake, but I was testing this out. I thought I wanted to tree form them. And all that means is take all the foliage off the bottom. And you can see where this one is a little dead. That's a dead branch. But at one point, I had cut all that off and decided I was going to tree form them. But they grow so fast, it is impossible for me to keep up because you'd have to come back through and cut all this off again just to keep that form with a canopy that starts here. And it was pretty, but it's too much work. So that's why you see open spaces now underneath mine, because I had tree formed it at one point. Otherwise, the foliage would go all the way down to the ground. All right, so I am passing under one of the arches that has a wisteria. It is native to North Texas. It is an amethyst falls wisteria, and here's the second one here. So it is considered non-invasive, but I will say to you that it can still be a little bit. You just have to stay on top of it. Now I've done some cutting, which is why you see this one probably not looking very happy, but it's starting to get a few yellow leaves. It's a little thirsty, and I probably need to water this area a little bit better. I haven't overwatered it, but it's also just heat stress because we're going into that season. So this is one of the flowers that's already, dying back, but it puts off really gorgeous purple flowers. I'll try to pop one up on the screen maybe here. I still have my little bird, my northern bird up there in the branch of this, but you can see that one is starting to go on top of my house. So I need to cut all that off. And so when I say it's not invasive, well, it's, I think any vine can be invasive if you don't maintain it. So I've been whacking on that one a little bit, which is also why you see some dead branches over there, because you can't see where the main stalk is sometimes. And I'm trying to figure out, because it naturally does this curving and forming on its own. And so if I cut one and I don't pull it all the way out, then of course, whatever it is that I cut is going to die back. I'm okay with that. I'm going to clean that up some more. And I'm definitely going to cut that off the roof. You do not want your vines to start to get into the eaves of your gutters and your roof. That can be an issue and cause some damage. I'm not in a dangerous place right now. This just occurred, so it hasn't actually intruded upon the house. So I'm good. All right, so in this area, I have some more umbrellas out because I have some, what is that? A begonia, which does not love a lot of sun. And it's one of the larger leaf types of begonia, dragon wing, I believe it is. And then, of course, hostas do not want full sun. But my garden is so weird. It's dappled sun, it's shade. So it's really difficult sometimes to do a mix of different foliage or different plants that have different lighting requirements. And that big pink thing there you're saying is a rock rose, also native to North Texas. And it does extremely well with sun, drought tolerant. If I don't water that thing for a week or so, I'm still getting lots of beautiful blooms. So I'm happy with it. And then this is another crepe myrtle. The red does not seem, it drops. There's some red on the ground, but it doesn't seem to drop as much as the white does. I don't know what's up with that. Even with the pink. So you can see a view there of the white there, and then there's a little purple lavender in the middle, and then there's the pink over there. So I love crepe myrtles, but if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have them here. And I'll tell you one of the reasons that I planted them. When I first started planting, I didn't know any, I won't say I didn't know any better. It's just that I didn't think long term about it. And someone asked me in one of the comments, how do you plan things? And how did you plan your garden? Like all the pathways and the grass and the cutouts and the shapes, the archways. I gotta be honest, it's just all vision. Like, what would you like for it to look like? And not only that, if you're doing a little bit at a time for, health reasons or budget reasons, then it kind of evolves as you go. It's not like I had $150,000-$200,000 budget when I started doing this some years back to just say, okay, I'm going to put a pool in the middle and I'll put some trees and plants here. That's not how it went for me. The very first thing that I did, I've told this story before, but, after I was recovering, for those of you that are new to the channel, from breast cancer, was to build this pathway out. And I had a vision while I was lying in the bed recovering. All of this was just, there's about 5,000 square feet here. And it was nothing but weeds, grass, and one big long square backyard is all it was. And so shout out to Monty Don, who I was watching a lot of videos from. He's out of the UK. Amazing horticulturist and gardener. And I wanted pathways. If you look at the European gardens, they have a lot of, stone and rocks. And so that was one of my visions that came to place. So I got up, I went to Home Depot, I rented a commercial grade tiller and I started, let me go back. It's in one of my videos. It's like an old video. It's out there somewhere. It tells the story of how I did this. But I literally cranked that sucker up right about here. Now, there's nothing here, mind you, but grass. And it was so intense and so strong that that tiller took off, boom, went straight through that fence. Mind you, I was about 253 pounds, struggling health wise, all kinds of stuff. When I tell you I fell out on the ground and just started laughing, and I laid there and I may have cried for 2 seconds and then I got up. So after I got up, I just kept going and did a little bit at a time. Now, real quick, I had a guy come out and quote me, by the way, one pathway. I believe he quoted me about $3,000. And it is the shortest pathway that I have up there for 3 grand. So I just can't even imagine having spent, you know, with someone else doing it, the amount of money that would have gone into just building out a pathway. Now, I will say this. I had another guy say, I only do professional work because I told him I wanted my stones like this. And he didn't want to do it. And look, I get it. I cut some corners. I did not put necessarily the fabric underneath all of my rocks. In some areas, there is some fabric, and in some, there is not. And he wanted to put the metal landscape edging all the way around. I did not want that look. I am very rustic, and I just wanted, as natural as possible rocks. I knew I needed something to keep the rocks in place, and but I didn't want that metal where you would step on it, cut your feet, and it's just not a good look to me personally. And so, but I also know that my style is not everybody else's style too. Like I said, I'm very rustic. I grew up on the lake. I'm a camper. I hang out doors quite a bit, and so what bothers some people do not bother me. So, for example, I know that who was it? Someone asked about the rust getting on one of the metal pergolas that I have or arches. They were like really worried about it's going to get rusted. You need to spray it with this. And, there's a little rust there. Y'all, I don't care. I seriously don't. Like I used to tell people all the time, it's character. It's just building character, y'all. So I like things to naturally rust or patina. I know that may sound a little crazy. Yes, to protect it and to preserve it, the strength of the metal, probably should spray it, but I just don't. It's my thing. Same thing with, matter of fact, I don't have anything. I heard that I've actually sprayed some of the sun UV protection, whatever they call it, because I don't buy it. This one is, look at that, how it's like naturally going around. But it has rust on it also. And I kind of also think of things like, everything good comes to an end eventually. Yeah, one day this thing probably will fall. But if I keep it for 15, 20 years, I'm okay with that. So it's all good. It's all good in the hood over here, y'all. Okay, let's talk about this thing. Now, I did that video on this little water um, bird bath that has a camera built in. And I think I've gotten one bird. So I'm going to pause for a second. This is where I'm going to pop it in. Okay, okay. All right. So the other thing that it captured was the night after the 4th of July celebration. I got a lot of folks in my neighborhood that just do not care, and the fireworks were going crazy. And so my camera picked up fireworks all around me. And I'm just like praying nothing catches on fire. Let me go back here because the eggs, let's see if that bird flies out real quick though. Hold on. Let me go slow. I need a light. There are babies in there. I'm going to have to try to get, let's see. Oh gosh. Try not to disturb them. It is so hard to get in there. Okay, I know what I'll do. I'll take a separate something, try to put a light in there, but I really don't want to disturb them too much. But the eggs did hatch. So we have babies. Oh my God. it was 3 eggs, but I only see 2 babies. All right. I want to talk about a couple other things. So I have trees and pots, and I found out, not I find out, but I realized I'm doing a lot of containers. I stopped digging in my garden as much because, as you can see, I've kind of run out of room. So I'm doing more container planting, I realized here. I probably am obsessed with buying pots. I've probably bought, I don't know, 8 pots in the last 5 days. And I stick to porcelain as much as I can, but I love terracotta pots. It's just my thing. So, but I do like porcelain pots because they will be a lot more weather resistant. I don't have to water as much. And in the winter, things will survive. I do have magnolia trees that have been in these 2 pots now for at least, oh gosh, 3 years. So I know, oh, look at that little gecko right there. It's always something running around my garden. But I know I need to take that out eventually. But I don't plan on planting it in my garden space back here, maybe in the front. So I'm probably going to leave it in there and just see how it does. People ask, can you plant a tree in a pot? Well, of course you can. I had a guy tell me at a nursery once because I was that person that asked that question years ago. And he said, well, it's in a pot now. You just change the size of the pot periodically. It can stay in there forever. So what I'm doing is pointing out a couple of little gems that I've placed in my area. But let me mention this grass. I love Everillo Carex grass, which I have a lot of in the front. And my mind literally just shut down. I'm going to pop the name in of this when it comes back to me. This one is a lot more sharper on the edges. Got to be really careful. I bought these 2 seasons ago. There is one, two, three, four, 5 of them. When they came, they were not much larger than my hand. Okay. So when I bought them, when I placed them in here, it was very bare, but within a year, they were half this size. And then this year, they have doubled in size. Now, as you can see, this is mostly shaded in this area, and I get a little bit of dappled sun here. They seem to do well in both shade and dappled sun. I would probably stick with that. I don't know that I'd put them in full sun in my area. The reason I'm pointing those out is because my goal, going back to how do I plan things, I'm really trying to get my garden to a point where it is, I don't want to say self-sustainable, but more perennials, more evergreens, so you have interest year round. When I first started out, I had mostly just annuals, and you spend a lot of money on annuals. And I just kept buying annuals and annuals, and they die and I'd replace them. So you have to get smart at some point and say, wait a minute, I need something pretty out here in the winter. So I started buying more of these this year, about 3 or 4 more, and I just popped them in these little areas. So what's going to happen is this will die back. This whole Turk's cap, which is huge and native to, I believe it's native to North Texas as well, very, very drought tolerant, puts off adorable little red blooms. And I have transplanted it into 3 sections on this area. And I did this years ago when I was trying to just fill in the void, fill in a space because it cost them a lot to buy a lot of plants. So do I regret it? I regret adding the additional ones because now taking out a Turk's cap is not for the faint of heart. It is not easy. It does tend to, let's see if I can get in here. It's like it's starting with runners, and then it will create a new plant and pop up like this one here. So I'm going to come through and take that out, which, by the way, these little runners here, I like to cut them off. I don't want new branches to form. This is a red tip Photinia shrub that I have tree formed, okay? So I took out branches early on, and I ended up tree forming this. So every year I make sure I cut off everything in this area. Otherwise it would have been just one big giant bush. And if you look up a red tip photinia, you'll see that, you know, they can grow 20 feet wide as well as 20 feet, you know, tall, depending on the variety. And so the same thing with this one. It has a lot of shoots on it that is coming through right now. And I've actually already cut these off once early spring, but now I need to get in there because I've never let them go that long, and I need to cut that off. So you can see the difference with this one versus over here. It's a little more cleaner. It only has a few shoots. The same thing, let me go back here again. I added red tip photinias all the way down here. And the reason I'm doing this, if you've been with me for a while, you know I had nothing but green space in my back garden. And now we have this. This started in last October. And I am losing my privacy, my quietness. It's gotten loud. It's really hard, but I'm just sucking it up and dealing with it. So I am tree forming these now and allowing them to grow so I can have privacy. I put these in, they're over, I'm 5'4", this fence is about almost, not quite 6. I would say these are about 7 feet to maybe 8 feet tall now. And I put them in 2 seasons ago. They grow super fast. So I think it's a good option if you're looking for privacy. But I would tree form them, but depends on what you want and how your setup is. So I can't, hold on, I'm looking up at these crepe myrtles and I see a bunch of dead branches. They're a lot thinner this year. I don't know what's going on with them this year, but I see a lot of like broken dead branches in there that I need to cut out and clean up. One of the things about the crepe myrtles, why I keep them and I haven't just cut them down, is because again, I knew I was going to lose my privacy at some point. I've gotten a little lucky with the design of this property because that one building right here is facing what is going to be their office. So there are no patios on this building here. So I don't have anyone directly. I am dead center in the middle of my garden right now on the back side. But for the homes that are further down the street, or this one over here, there are houses that go all the way down. They're gonna have patios with people just hanging out. Not that everybody's gonna be looking in their backyard, but it does make you feel a little weird, you know, lose that space. I've been here for 20 plus years, so I just have to get used to it. It's progress, it's change. But that's about it, guys. I wanted to just give a quick update on some things to show you what's happening. I appreciate your support. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell me how your garden is doing in July and August, September. You know, it's still a little hot. Oops, the birds are going crazy because I left a few grapes. This is their meal ticket between the peaches and the grapes. I still have a few that I left for them, but I took down a ton of grapes. This whole bag here is grapes. A lot of them are just too soft. I'm not going to eat them. It's a little bit of trash in there. And then, of course, this, all grapes. And that's going to be it, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great day.